Hey guys, it's me Ram here, and this is my main 2x2, the GAN 251M Pro. I've realized that this GAN 251M Pro can be a bit tricky to set up sometimes, but in my opinion, I have found what is the best setup for this cube. Additionally, at competitions, people tend to ask me how I set up my GAN 251M Pro, and I've recently set up these cubes for quite a few people and they have achieved some great successes on them, including a bunch of 1.2 averages and even a third in the world result. Anyways, with that said, I haven't done a video like this in quite a while, but I'd like to show you guys how I go about setting up the GAN 251M Pro so that it can help you guys achieve a 1.2 average as well, mark my words. Anyways, let's just get started by opening up this brand new GAN 251M Pro that I got for this video. Unfortunately, as you guys can see, the box is pretty beat up, but what can we do about that as long as the cube is alright. The cube looks perfectly fine to me, giving it some turns. Yep, it seems to turn perfectly fine as well. The GAN 251M Pro out of the box tends to have this rather dry and interesting clacky feeling, but let's take care of that. Let's get straight on to the setup. Alright, so the first step when it comes to setting up a GAN 251M Pro is actually adjusting the nuts. Now, I'll leave this a bit open-ended and give you guys two options which I think are equally good. Now, option 1 is the setup I use for my friends who generally prefer a faster and quicker 2x2, and it is to use the blue nuts on 0.8. I actually used to use this setup for myself back in 2023, but I ended up finding it too fast and was just performing very inconsistently on it. But for the people who do like faster 2x2s, this works fantastically. Now, option 2 is the setup I tend to use for myself and those friends of mine who prefer more of a medium speed 2x2. It's to keep the green nuts in the cube but set them to 0.8, which is the looser setting than 0.6. I tend to prefer looser 2x2s with better corner cutting, and I feel like the general public would seem to appreciate that more as well. Therefore, I would recommend adjusting your nut to 0.8 no matter what color you use. Anyway, with that said, I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust the nuts on all 6 sides to 0.8. Anyway, now that we have our nuts adjusted to the same setting, let's move on to step number 2. Alright, let's move on to step number 2, which is adjusting the magnet strength. Now, inside this little GAN accessories box here, you should be able to find this tiny little screwdriver that is used to adjust the magnets on this cube. This is what the little screwdriver looks like, and all you gotta do is just take this tiny little thing off right now and it should function. Now again, in my opinion, you have a couple of options on how to adjust this cube. I personally really like the weak magnets, especially if you've gone for the stronger green nuts, so that's what I will be doing on this cube. I'll be setting all of these to weak. Alright, this is the final one, and yep, I've just gone ahead and set all the magnets to the weakest setting. Alright, now that we're done with the adjustments on this cube, you might think that this cube is feeling a bit too fast and a bit dry and a bit unstable generally, but that's where the Lube setup comes in. Now step 3 is to go ahead and use a weighted loop. Now personally, I would recommend using anything between a weight 3 and a weight 5 level of thickness, and I'm gonna go ahead and use Traxxas 10K, which is generally about a weight 3 level of thickness. What you wanna do is just take a section of your cube like this and just take it out. It's probably not gonna be dangerous at all, especially when the cube is this loose, it's not gonna break or anything. And what you want to do is just take your weighted lube and start applying lube closer to the inside of the cube. Here's a rule of thumb to keep in mind when applying weighted lubes. The closer to the inside of the cube you apply the lube to, the faster the cube will be, and the closer to the outside of the cube you apply the lube to, the slower the cube will be. This is all after breaking in the cube, by the way. No matter where you apply the lube to right now, before breaking, it's gonna be slow either way. So yeah, just keep that in mind. What we want to go ahead and do is just apply a little bit of lube, closer to the inside on these tracks and stuff. You can do it in a couple of spots like this, and once that's done, you can go ahead and turn the cube a little bit, give it some turns, and then you'll come to a little bit of a different section, and you can go ahead and apply lube to the tracks back there as well. Just blobs like these, no need to overdo it or anything, but make sure you apply a generous amount. Maybe one more little blob back there, and I reckon that should be enough, but we can go ahead and quickly check that. What you want to go ahead and do is grab your little block of pieces, go ahead and put them straight back in like this, and just turn the cube. Now when you turn the cube like this, the lube that you've put in will work around the puzzle, because in case you've applied it to just one spot, it will move around a little bit. But honestly, I don't think I've applied enough lube yet, so what I'll go ahead and do is solve the cube. And I will repeat this process for another set of pieces. People do say that, lubing the nuts also helps, but that I feel only helps when the GAN 251M Pro has spring noise. And I've had one GAN 251 Pro that did have a lot of spring noise, but in cases other than where there is spring noise, I don't really think lubing the nuts really helps. So yeah. And yep, there we are. That 100% feels a lot better now. Now what you want to go ahead and do is just work around all this lube. You've just put a bunch of weighted lube around different spots, and there will be spots that haven't quite been lubed. So to work it around the cube and make sure the lube distributes evenly, we should go ahead and turn the cube quite a bit. Alright, now once you've gone ahead and done a bunch of turns and the lube does work around a bit, you will notice that the cube is feeling quite gummy, and that is pretty normal because we have just put a bunch of weighted lube in. However, this is where steps 4 and 5 come in. Alright, with that, now step number 4 is to apply some lighter silicone lube on the pieces of the cube. Here, I'm going to be using 3 drops of Speedcube Shop's Martian lube and 3 drops of Speedcube Shop's Lunar lube. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get on to lubing the pieces. What you want to go ahead and do is just open up your cube like this and just go ahead and drop a little bit of Martian down there. And then open up another side, just go ahead and drop some more down there. If it goes towards the inside of the cube, that's also totally fine. And then just open another spot and just put more down there. And then maybe go ahead and give it some turns. Then once you've broken it in a little bit, you also want to do the exact same thing with your Lunar lube. Just go ahead and open it up and drop some drops on some random spots. Alright, now that that's done, just go ahead and work it in. Anyways, once you've gone ahead and worked in the lube and the cube still feels a little bit too slow for your liking, it's now time for optional step number 5. Alright, now step number 5 is to apply 1 or 2 drops of any water-based lube to the cube. Here, I'm just using Stardust from Speedcube Shop, and remember guys, this step is optional only if your cube genuinely feels too slow and you want it faster. So, let's just go ahead and open it up and apply it in the same manner we applied these other piece lubes. And then just go ahead and give it some more turns. There we are. Now that's what I call a good feeling GAN 251 Pro. This is absolutely perfect now. Okay, wow, now turning this cube a lot, that optional step 5 really helped. The cube feels far better now and honestly almost perfectly ready to go. I will go ahead and continue to break in this cube and give it a bunch of sols and get used to it, and that's exactly what you'll need to do as well after setting it up. But for now, I will say that this cube feels really good, and honestly I think I will switch to it as a main. Yeah, wow, we've gotten rid of that dry and clacky feeling and replaced it with such a nice sound. Just listen. Yeah, that feels absolutely amazing now, and I highly recommend this setup. With this new setup, I think it's about time we can retire this old GAN 251 Pro. I've had it for over a year now, and it set my current PR 2x2 average of 1.24 seconds. It served me very well and it can live nicely now, but now I think it's being replaced with this new cube, which feels absolutely amazing. So yep, that's pretty much it for my setup tutorial on the GAN 251 Pro. If you end up trying this setup out, let me know how it goes in the comments down below, and I assure you that it will serve you well. A lot of people at comms generally ask me how I set up my cube, and it gets a bit too long to explain how exactly I do it, so now it's easy for me to just link them to this video. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and good luck with setting up your GAN 251 Pro. I hope you guys learned something from this. Goodbye.